Hello to everyone in chat.
Oh, wow. So, hello.
Hello. Okay, we have
Hello.
someone from Charlotte, someone from Atlanta, and someone from Saskatchewan.
Well.
And I just wanted to tell you, Ryan, that hold your hands like this. That is your window for us.
Okay.
You're probably looking at something that is wider, but
Yes.
because there's three of us, we're all in a narrow window. So if you hold anything up for us, put it in front of your face. Yeah, exactly. Let's see, there's something called gourmet pens in chat.
Well.
I've never heard of gourmet pens. Have you heard of gourmet pens?
I didn't know you could eat them.
Yeah. No, it's yeah.
Especially the ink, apparently. Rude. She
It's a
says
whole new
I'm rude.
movement.
Or he says I'm rude. I don't know. Camarillo, California is online. Aaron Gibson is online. Helen from Nova Scotia is online. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, and happy Easter, David. Happy Easter. So apparently, we're doing a little sound check here, Portland, Oregon. Welcome. So Ryan's going to tell us a little story, 2-sentence story perhaps, maybe 3, just so we can hear your sound.
Okay, all right. Do you want to hear the story of the Great Flood of Ellijay, Georgia?
Sure. That's a 3-sentence story?
No, it's a little bit longer than that, but so it was a dark and stormy night in Ellijay, Georgia, and I walked downstairs in my socks, into my pants and my shirt, thinking I would close the garage door for the night. When I stepped off the bottom step, it was not dry tile that I stood upon, but water up to my ankles that I was standing in. And I thought to myself, this is not normal, and boy, does it smell bad.
Was the water filled with raisins? Please tell me it was filled with raisins.
Raisins, corn, all kinds of other funny things.
But especially raisins of the plump variety.
Yes, it was not pretty. And so I followed the source of the water to the shower, and coming out of the shower drain was a geyser of water this tall, just shooting and boiling out.
Isn't it
and there
supposed
was
to go down the drain, not come up from the drain? Right? I don't know how things work in this Ellijay place.
Well, typically, I had never seen this before. It was a little bit different for me. And so for a moment in time, I kind of froze, not knowing what to do, and I felt suddenly very unmanly, not knowing what to do, just standing there screaming, there's stuff coming out of my shower.
You call a plumber?
Yes, it was 10:45 at night, and actually, finally, after all the water from the people taking showers upstairs subsided, it did finally quit. And so after just moving in, we had a storage pod dropped off, and we moved right back out.
Oh, no.
So all of our personal belongings.
Was this not in the basement?
Well, it was. So everything in the basement, which is is about a third of the house, is now in the driveway in a storage pod. So we moved back out, and I put all the sheetrock in yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you tape it?
No. So the flood line, the moisture meter didn't read anything actually above the baseboard line. So that's kind of a blessing. So I don't have to tape anything because the baseboard now I'm going to have to splurge and put an extra tall baseboard to cover up the joint. But I'd rather do that than mud and tape. I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
So
you didn't.
So
you said you put in the drywall. I'm thinking big full sheets on the wall, but you're just doing the base.
Yeah, we only had to cut off. We had to cut off about 8.5 inches. So we had a mitigation team come in, and the moisture content of the sheetrock was only up to just a few inches above. So we caught it pretty quick and got it dried out pretty fast. So it's not horrible, but
But you're having to do the work yourself.
I'm choosing to, just because contractors are very expensive.
I would think insurance would pay for that.
Well, they did, but they'll also pay me for my time, not as much as they would a licensed contractor. And
Gotcha.
So given the uncertainty of pen shows, which accounts for 90% of my income, I may as well get paid for working on my house from the insurance company.
Ryan
so
is now a construction worker.
That's right, at least for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So,
Let me check the comments. Was everyone able to hear Ryan's story? Is his sound okay? He sounds okay to me. And Stephen, I suppose he sounds okay for you.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Stephen being
no, it
Stephen,
all works.
ladies and gentlemen. Gourmet Pens, whoever this is, says that Eric has a death wish. I guess that's because I talked about plump raisins. I can continue doing that. We have Beaverton, Oregon. Where else? Northern Ireland.
oh wow.
Salt Lake City, I
Yeah,
saw.
we should
There's
probably
Salt Lake
also
City.
point out that it is usually 3 people in this chat room, but I just flashed Ryan's name, and all of a sudden North Ireland and all kinds of people are joining the show. I mean, we don't get this type of attention, but
Well, they're not here for us.
I know.
I should say they're not here for me. Maybe they're here
I
for you.
don't think that's true. I've seen your following on Instagram versus mine.
Well, I tried to send people other people's way with Brian Awareness Week, and that was kind of fun. So I think we should.
That
do
was- That was hysterical. Oh my goodness, that was great.
It was also a challenge to find more and more Brian. So I was actually toying with the idea of starting next week do Sarge Minhas Week, but then every week is just Sarge because there's only one, right? So something along these lines.
We could probably find quite a few sergeants.
Probably, but there is only one that matters.
Is that true?
Of course, there's the one-man pen show. There is only one Sarge. Like you cannot. There is only one ultimate being in the universe, and that is the
Is
Sarge. We
He's
know
dangerous.
this.
Josh is saying greetings from Australia. Rohit is saying hello from India. Eric with a K is saying hello from Palm Harbor, Florida. And Aaron and Aziza are having a conversation that I will not read. I'm sure it's private.
Yeah. Well, then we can all just go home. It was nice seeing you.
Welcome to the show. Just read the comments. Before the show actually starts in 3 minutes, I will take this opportunity to say Happy Easter to anyone who celebrates an Easter type thing.
Yes, happy Easter to everyone. We had
Eat an
Easter
egg.
waffles this morning.
Is something special about waffles that make them Easter waffles, or do you just have them on Easter and they become Easter waffles?
The latter, but
latter.
what's special about them is they're delicious.
Well, waffles are always generally delicious if they're made correctly.
Yes.
So I think
Fresh.
he's saying he's going to send us waffles. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Well,
I heard that too.
but don't hold me to it because I waffle on my decisions a lot.
Oh no, no. It's very
Nice.
funny. Now we have greetings from Antwerp, Pen, which I believe is supposed to be Antwerp. Antwerp. Have we been to Antwerp? Did we go to Antwerp?
I am not sure I've been to Antwerp.
Okay.
I may have been, but I was very young at that point.
No, when
So-
we took a train down south somewhere.
No, we have not been to Antwerp.
Where
That's
was
Belgium.
that? Where was that cooking store?
The big one, Rotterdam.
Oh, that was Rotterdam. Okay.
But
Yeah,
that's
I
still
get
the
those two
Netherlands.
cities confused all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense because they are in 2 different countries. So I understand the confusion.
Well,
But I think that train, there may have been a train that continued to Antwerp. This may have been your confusion.
I'm sure it was. We were in proximity.
Yeah,
Was
oh
it-
yeah,
was
no,
the same continent.
but I mean, when you think about it, Eric, right now we're in proximity to Beijing, right? I mean, relatively speaking, on a cosmic scale of things, we are, it's not that bad, right? So
On a cosmic scale, no, it's right down the street.
exactly, there you go.
We're practically neighbors.
Practically.
Yeah, exactly.
David, do any of you gentlemen know if the Diamine ink vent inks will be limited or part of the line? I don't have the information in front of me, David, but I heard that it is going to be part of their line. I believe it is going to be part of their line.
Yeah.
Josh says it's 2 a.m. there. I forget where Josh was. And he's craving waffles. Josh may have been from Australia. 2 a.m. That's... Oh, it's time to
Yeah.
start. Ryan, you don't know this? Where are we? I'm going to play the intro video. during which time you won't hear it and you'll be off screen. As soon as you hear me talking again, we'll be back on. So let's get this show going. This is That a Pen in Your Podcast episode number 6 for Sunday, April 12th, 2020. We are streaming to you live from the United States and Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, viewers the world over, thank you for joining us today and welcome to another first-class episode of Fountain Pen Television. My name is Eric, and with me, as per usual, is, the Bert to my Ernie, Professor Dr. Stephen Brown. But wait, there's more. Our special guest, who shall be today, Fozzie Bear, Mr. Ryan Krusac. Gentlemen, start your engines. Can you not hear me?
Happy Easter, everyone.
There you go.
Yes,
One of
I
you
can
say
hear.
hello.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and Happy Easter.
I should say that this is Fozzie Bear, Mr. Ryan Krusac. Let me see if I can put... Everyone may not be familiar with Ryan's work, so if you want to check out his website, it is on the screen right now. That is, let me see if I can read it, franklinkristoff.com. Is that correct, Ryan?
No.
No,
You cut me deep just on Shrek.
rkspens.com?
Yes, that would be correct.
Now that's a new one. I mean, it's not new, but you used to have an old one.
I did, yes. My previous website was Fountain Pen Studios, and the company that I was doing business with on my website went south very quickly, and we found ourselves starting over from scratch. So,
Okay, so
yeah,
RKS
it's a long RKS Pens, and it's a little easier to remember and to spell, and it fits on a license plate.
Is it on a license plate somewhere?
Yes. Yes.
We're going to need a picture of that someday.
Yes.
During the intro, Josh, who said it was 2 a.m., did tell me that it is, in fact, Australia. It is not only 2 a.m., but it is 2 a.m. tomorrow, Monday, and he stayed up specifically for this stream just so that he could crave waffles. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, that is lovely. I'm so happy that the people stay up for us and that they have risen on this special day to just see us.
I'm going to ignore that,
what
Dr.
better
Brown?
day to do it, right?
I'm going to ignore
Isn't
it. I'm going to ignore it.
That's really cool.
Shall we talk about pens, or you have something else to discuss? Dr. Brown, you got anything? How is
I
Canada?
never have anything.
You
What? How's what?
How's Canada? You taking care of yourself?
I try, yes. It's been very interesting, right? But beyond, I think it's been interesting everywhere. So I don't feel I have much to contribute. No.
Okay,
It's
but
been
you are
rather an
keeping
interesting
yourself
time
safe.
in Canada.
Interesting time in Canada, interesting time all over the world. What state are you in, Mr. Krusac?
I'm in Georgia, in a little town called Ellijay.
Ellijay. And
Ellijay.
the last time, we haven't spoken to you in a podcast in years and years and years.
Yes, yeah, it's probably been 7 or 8, honestly.
And you used to
Since we
live in
did
a
a
town
podcast.
called Calhoun, Georgia.
Yes,
So-
yes, which was 40 miles west of here.
That was going to be my question. Okay, so you're just
Yes.
40 miles away from where you used to be, still in the state of Georgia. How is
Yes.
Your situation in Georgia? Are you able to find groceries?
Yes, we can find groceries, no problem. The only thing that has been difficult to find is toilet paper, which I don't understand because you would think the food shortage would come before the toilet paper shortage, but that's not the case. You still cannot buy a single roll of toilet paper in Georgia.
I have explained this to Eric before, Ryan. The reason for this is that every time one person sneezes, 10 people shit themselves. So this is the reason that
It's actually the first time hearing
Oh,
that,
that's
Dr. Brown.
that's
You must have explained that to someone else.
Now you
that's,
know.
that's probably an accurate hypothesis. I like it.
All right, let's. I want to talk almost exclusively about the pens that Ryan makes today, and we'll just probably introduce him to a whole bunch of new people because, as he says, we haven't actually invited him onto a podcast in 7 or 8 years. But before we talk about his pens, let me get rid of his. There we go. I'm going to put a picture up here. It's a Visconti. It's called a Visconti Watermark Iridium Rainbow Limited Edition, and it just caught my eye this week. Lots of Visconti fans out there, and this one really has a rainbow tint to it. It's a silver filigreed pen with some sort of iridium treatment that makes it glow in rainbow-ish colors. They're only making 888 pieces. What I liked about it is that you can have your choice of a 23 karat palladium nib or an 18 karat gold nib. And I had once, I'll take this off the screen so I can see you fellas again. The very first Visconti I ever had was a palladium nib, and I really liked that nib. I know it's strange to hear someone say that they really like their Visconti nib, but this was a long time ago. And it was a fabulous nib. I don't know. Do you happen to have a Visconti at the moment, Dr. Brown?
Yes, I'm just thinking what nib. Yes, I have one with a. Oh, that's actually your palladium nib. You gave it to me, so I like that nib. I like it too. But yeah, no, it's always interesting, right? With the palladium nibs, it's an interesting. You play a game. Like, will it write or will it not write when you buy one? And it's a nice gamble. So you have something to look forward to, like the excitement and danger of it could write, it could not write. We don't know that So you have this sort of thing.
Yeah, Visconti has that reputation, but I do understand that they have truly upped their game in the before it goes out the door. I think they're testing them now, so that may have been corrected.
What a lovely thought.
Well, Lamy tests. Yes?
I thought I was alone in that my Rembrandt was, I didn't know how to use it. That it's been sitting in a display case since the second day after I owned it.
Well, the next time we see each other, you bring it and we'll get that fixed for you. Lamy tests all their nibs before they go out the door, and I think Visconti has started doing that too. So perhaps those days are over.
I really like those ideas, but the problem with that is that if you just dip a fountain pen in ink, then it will write. So I mean, unless you actually ink up the pen.
That's true.
And use it for a while, you still don't know if it actually writes.
You need the ink going through the entire system to prove that it actually writes.
And I mean, I've also had, I will say, just to provide a balanced argument, like I have had palladium nibs that were absolutely wonderful and were really pleasant to use, but it is just a bit of a crapshoot, and that's my issue. I mean, if they write well, they're super pleasant and really nice to use. But the issue is that you don't know what you're getting. So that's
no. But at the same time, I've never met one that couldn't be made to write. It needed a tweak or something.
No, it's challenging apparently, but I don't know. I'm not a nibmeister. It's challenging apparently because the palladium is so soft, so it's not that easy to tune up because it can, as I understand, it can bend out of shape easily. But I'm sure that a nibmeister who knows what he or she is doing can fix it without issues.
One would hope. Otherwise, they don't deserve the title.
Exactly.
So we've decided we're each going to get one of these. The street price is $15.96. And
my issue with it is I like the way it looks, but if you take enough LSD, any pen looks like that. So it's not. I mean, it's not in that regard that special. It's.
No, actually, it caught my eye, but there are other Viscontis that I prefer. And the one I really liked was the Wall Street, the red one, the limited edition where the section matched. But that's gone away. So they'll have to come up with something else. Let's move to Pelican, shall we? I've got a Pelican here somewhere. This one will, probably Aziz already has it. It's a Pelican M1000 Rod and Green Ray. So a large pen with a lot of green on it, actually. And these are always very pretty. Always very expensive, but always very pretty. And this one is around $3,000. So I think that's what their Rodin M1000s go for, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but it is Rodin and with putting all the strips in. Plus, what I noticed about this one, I haven't seen one. Aziza probably has one. I haven't seen it. It looks like the strips of Rodin are very wide on this one, wider than they have done before. Because in the other models, they had pretty narrow strips and a lot of resin in between. But this looks like it is much broader. So that
it does look like the strips are broader. Aziza is saying she does not have this pen, and that the wide strips freak her out. I don't know why.
No, that's just plausible deniability. She will.
Yeah,
that is. I don't buy that for 1 second.
She's probably got 5 of them, right? One in each nib size.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the way they look. What was the first one they did, Aziza? Some Moon and Stars or something that was just.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
was it the Moonlight and but I think those were M800. There was M800s. There is one. I think there were 2, and Aziza will absolutely correct me on this. There are 2 that I think are very popular. One of them I think is, I want to say something with a moon, but I think that's an M800, which also has very wide strips of Rodin, if I'm not mistaken, which is why it's so sought after and almost never on the market. And then they have all those M1000s. They had the black one, and they had a sort of the Sunrise, which was not black, but sort of more of a reddish urushi type color.
Right. Sunlight. Aziza says it was called the Sunlight. Was it an M800, Aziza? Yeah. She says it was, the first one was an M800. Sunlight and the Moonlight. And I think it was the Moonlight that I really liked.
I think that's the one everybody likes, but it's just not available. Because the people who buy it keep it because they like it too.
As they should. But, whenever I see the strips that they put on their pens, it just looks like the little things that people put on guitars to mark where their frets are.
I've never held a guitar, so I don't have a clue what you're talking about. But yes, sure. Yeah, that's exactly what
it looks like. You could do this yourself. Just, buy yourself you should buy yourself a Ryan Krusac pen and then put these strips of guitar frets on it. All right, back to Ryan.
Yeah. That was a good segue. Wow, that was just brilliant, Eric. Just let's move on.
Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
We are both excellent. Tell us who you are, as if we don't know.
So, my name is Ryan. I started my pen company by accident in almost 14 years ago at the airport in Mexico City. My story is all about natural materials. I was a sculpture major in college. I love working with all sorts of media, but I prefer natural materials, and I kind of carried that over into my pen making philosophy. I started off like a lot of pen makers, making kit pens. I bought a lathe and got onto PennStateIndustries.com and ordered parts. They came in, and I made little wooden sections to go between them, and it was really a hobby that I just really enjoyed doing. I started embellishing some of these kit pens by ordering them directly with no finishing on them and doing different patinas and different things on them. And with my background in the arts, I would hand paint on them and scrimshaw. And after a few years of it being a hobby, it kind of developed into a lot more than that. And I realized very quickly I needed to grow away from the kit pen stuff and start manufacturing 100% of the pen myself in-house, which was it was quite a challenge. But so that's been that's the short version of the last 14 years.
I have a picture of a couple of kit pens. Are these examples of the pens you used to make, or are these kits that you're now selling?
No, so I don't actually sell the kits to other pen makers. There are a lot of people doing that. It's not anything I have interest in doing, but I still on the internet, I still make a lot of kit pens. There are various degrees of kit pens, and they have a stigma in the fountain pen community because a lot of people have come in and overhyped them taking really valuable materials and putting them on really awful stuff from China. But there are a few companies in Taiwan that make absolutely magnificent products. Their castings are second to none. Their machining is second to none. They probably make more pens than anyone else in the world, truth be told, and they're really good at what they do. I mean, they're not just supplying the end user, they're supplying every Tom, Dick, and Harry who has a garage and a lathe. And so just the sheer amount of volume that they're doing, they've got very good at what they do. And in fact, I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but one of the big nib manufacturers is now even supplying the higher-end kit pens. So, I mean, you're getting a very high-quality nib even in a lot of these things right out of the box. So I still do kit pens on the website. I don't take them to pen shows because the people that frequent the shows don't appreciate what they are, but the kit pens offer me the ability to do a pen at a price point that makes it accessible to a lot more people. And also, it allows me to use some materials that would be way too time intensive for me to retool my shop to work with. And there is a big segment of the pen community that weight is synonymous with quality. Therefore, you need a lot of metal in a pen to create something weighty. You know, me being into the natural materials, my products now are very typically very, very light, which is a whole different set of tooling. So unless I add a second shop or second machinery, it's a big transition from one group of materials to another group of materials and that type of thing. So, but yes, I use kit pens all the time. I sell a lot of them because they're excellent writers. I only use the stuff, so to give you an idea, like a high-end kit pen, just the parts, the machined parts can cost upwards of $75. So there's a lot of raw material cost. They're most of them, if they have a shiny chrome-like finish, it's not chrome, it's actually rhodium. So they have a very durable platinum finish on them that just doesn't wear off. And it's really fantastic workmanship that goes into the high-end kit pen parts. And you can tell them when you pick them up and feel them, you know, which are which. But there's a lot of garbage out there as well. And I think that's where a lot of the confusion and a lot of the stigma comes in. And the other thing is it's difficult to brand a kit pen. And if somebody spends a few $100s on a pen, well, if it breaks, where do I go get it fixed? There's no marking on this. This could be any pen maker's pen, you know. So,
but you did.
There's a lot of things.
You moved away from exclusively where you started in your garage as a hobby making kit pens. You now make everything in the pen, except
Yes.
I suppose the nib. But you make the sections now too.
Oh, I make everything. So I brought like the Legend model, for instance,
I'm gonna throw a picture up on the screen of your legends, the entire grouping of them. I don't know what woods these are, and I don't know the sizes, except the big one must be the 16. So a 16, 15,
Okay.
14, 12. How's that?
So I cannot see the picture, but I presume it is it's kind of a reddish orangish wood.
It's
And
the one.
there's, like,
It's the all
four of
four of them. The one you sent me.
Got it. Yes. Okay. So that is tulip wood, which is a type of rosewood from Brazil, Dalbergia frutescens, if you want to get a little bit nerdy about it. And you're right. The smallest one is the Legend L12. So what the number means is it stands for the diameter of the barrel in millimeters. So we have the Legend L12. We have an L14, an L15, and an L16.
Okay. It does not have anything to do with the length of the pen.
No, so it's the diameter of the barrel, and I just needed a nomenclature to keep the model number straight for our own records. But each one of them proportionally grows in length and girth.
Gotcha. And this is tulip wood.
Tulip wood, yes.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I don't think I have a picture of one of these. I'm going to take this picture down so we can see you again. I don't have a picture of one without the cap on. So the section is not tulip wood.
The section is made of ebonite.
Okay.
Let me pull a Legend here. In fact, I'll pull. This is that tulip wood Legend here, and this is the ebonite section.
That
and
you make in house.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it starts off. I use Japanese ebonite. It comes in 1 meter lengths. So I'll order 16 millimeter rod. It comes in 1 meter length, and it just looks like a black stick. And that goes into, I have a 12 by 36 inch CNC lathe, and I had to do all the programming. That was a learning curve in and of itself. There was a reason why I went to art school, and that was to avoid numbers. And then I found myself as a machinist, and it's been a little bit of a strange experience. I found myself in a position of being completely unqualified and ill-suited to the task that I had to do, and I overcame it through just sheer hard work, determination, and a lot of frustration. But we're there and got it working.
I'm going to throw a picture up of another, I think it's a legend. Yes, it's a legend. And the wood is Purple Heart.
Yes.
And that's another gorgeous looking pen.
Thank you.
How many different woods do you work with?
As many as I can. I have a wood collection that I've been collecting for probably 25 years now. I started off in sculptural furniture, and so I've always had an affinity for working with wood. In fact, I kind of developed my love for woodwork in 1995 in Tanzania. I was on a work project in Tanzania, and the people that I was working with had a chair factory, and they were hand-making chairs out of mahogany. And just I spent a couple of days in that factory, and I came back with a duffel bag. I traded all of my hats and T-shirts and stuff for mahogany, and it kind of started this really strange rabbit hole of wood collecting for me. I think in my collection, I mean, you know, you have a decent collection when you can't put a number on it. I'm there. Most of the time, if somebody says, "Do you have?" I can say yes. So I mean, I have literally hundreds of species.
I'm now going to show another picture of one of my favorites, if not my favorite, Cocobolo. And this is another legend.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some of these in stock, right?
Yes. So on the website, if you scroll down, there is a current inventory page. I do also a lot of custom work right now for my custom artwork. So we haven't talked about scrimshaw yet, but I use naturally shed moose antler for scrimshaw work, and I also hand paint on pens. So in terms of custom artwork, that type of thing, I have about a 4 to 8 month wait list, and I say 4 to 8 because there's a couple of pieces that we haven't solidified the idea, and depending on where we go, I could be 4 months behind right now, or it could be 8 months behind. I'm just waiting to hear back from how involved this particular client wants to go.
No, you said something about naturally shed, did you say moose antler?
Yes, moose antler.
You go collect that yourself, do you?
I do not. No, I don't live in Montana, unfortunately. I did learn something cool about moose, though. Last October, I went to Rocky Mountain National Park, and I took a course on moose for the day. And those giant antlers grow in the summer. So every winter after the moose rut, they drop their antler, and they have no antler up until the beginning of summer. And so in about 2.5 to 3 months, they go from nothing to full size, ready to fight. I mean, it's just jaw-dropping how fast those things grow.
So any moose I've ever seen with ginormous antlers, that's all since the summer. And they drop
summertime growth.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It really is amazing. I thought it would start growing back as soon as they dropped, but that's not the case.
I'm going to show one of the images I stole from your website, which is the siren.
Yes.
And this is an example of your moose antler, right?
Yes. Here she is as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold it up a little higher, Ryan, because I've got your website down on the bottom, and a little closer to the front of your face. Yeah.
And also close your eyes and also sing a song.
Hop on one foot. Okay, I'm going to put the picture back up.
That's very beautiful.
So the body of this pen is moose antler, naturally shed, and the cap, which appears to have fish scales in it.
Well, they would be mermaid scales, yes.
Mermaid scales or siren scales. Yes. Is what kind of wood is that?
It's plastic.
It's red heart.
There's a whole new.
It's the floating pen, right?
Yeah.
It's actually made of naturally shed mermaid scales.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And
no mermaids were harmed in the process.
And
But you do go collect those yourself, right? Like it's unlike the
Yeah.
Antler, you actually go out to the beach and yeah.
Yes, yes. Now the cap is actually made of red heart, which is an exotic wood that's that natural color. So anything you ever see me make, there's no stain, there's no dye, there's nothing. It is only the natural color of the wood. So this particular wood is called red heart, and I have a 35-watt laser engraver with a rotary attachment, and so the mermaid scales are laser engraved into the red heart.
gorgeous. I'm going to show one of your hand-painted ones. Which one do you want me to start with?
Well, I don't care.
All right, I'm gonna
Whichever one.
Pick the butterfly.
Okay. So the butterfly was.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I have a question
The
about the
butterfly
section.
was
Is the section also ebonite
Yes.
on the butterfly?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that one, the butterfly should have a purple ebonite section if I sent you the right picture.
That's why I asked, because it didn't look
Yes.
like black ebonite. So I thought, oh, he didn't do a wood section, but you never know. It's Ryan.
Yeah. No, I won't do a wood section. I have a lot of people ask me for wood sections, but wood, when it comes in contact with liquids, is going to swell. And just over time of people filling the fountain pen, it's just, I'm going to be in the pen repair business very quickly, and I don't want to be in the pen repair business.
Gotcha. Now the butterfly
Yeah.
is sitting on a tree of some kind with blossoms.
Yes. Cherry blossoms. Yeah. I got the idea for that when Zoe was born. We planted a cherry tree, an ornamental cherry tree, and there was always butterflies in it. And I guess that was kind of the inception for that. Was actually the very first thing I ever hand painted on a pen was that particular design.
That particular design. Now I was going to mention or ask, you hand paint these on the pen.
Yes.
I'm going to show the
Yes,
Bengal tiger now, because this is like a work of art on this pen. Oh, what is the cap wood on the Bengal tiger?
That is a wood called Bocote, which is a Central American wood. I chose Bocote because it looks like tiger fur. I love the colors. I thought it matched very well. So that is a limited edition of 20 pieces. So I will hand paint that tiger 20 different times. And each one I make a little different. So sometimes it's a cool morning, so it may be a little grayer with a little more fog through the woods. So each one is a little bit different, but each one is hand painted and they are numbered.
And gorgeous. Now, hand painted, does that mean when I use it, the paint's going to come off?
Absolutely not. So what I do is after I'm done, incidentally, I use acrylic paint for that. And the reason I use acrylic and not oils is I can use an acrylic clear coat over my painting, which will make it exceptionally durable. So unlike some of the other hand-painted pens on the market that you need to send back to have it relacquered, you do not have to send this back to be relacquered. It is a very durable coating. There are 10 coats applied, and then I wet sand and buff to get a nice glossy finish on there, but it is a functional, usable pen.
And the finish won't come off, and the paint won't come off.
As long as you don't sand it off. Yes,
Okay.
under normal use, it will not come off.
That's not
So-
what I usually do to my pens. But
Yes. Do not coat your hands in sand.
Yeah, I would say at this point I have seen Ryan's hand painted pens very much up close because Aziza owns one, and this is not meant as some sort of commercial, but this is top notch painting work.
Oh yes.
I honestly was shocked when I saw that pen for the first time and realized that was actually because you hand paint this, right? Like this is
Yes. I use a quadruple
like hand painted. It looks like someone just took a like a digital picture and put it on. The quality is so incredibly high. I was blown away.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Ryan is first and foremost an artist.
Yeah, but that shows,
And it shows,
and
absolutely.
I understand. This is not someone like, well, my 4-year-old nephew hand painted something on the pen, and now it's supposed to be an elephant or something. Like, I mean, it's not like it's a completely different level of artistry. So I just want to impress that on people. It's not just the amazing skill with the woodworking. It's also if you do get something with that's painted on it, you will be blown away.
Yes.
Hashtag boom.
Hashtag. I'm just putting the tiger back up there so that now that we've heard you, Dr. Brown, we can take a look at
Rant,
this.
basically.
Yes, that was a rant. I think I have another hand-painted one in the hummingbird. Is that going to be hand-painted? Oh,
It is. It is hand-painted.
That is
And,
gorgeous, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm guessing it's tulip wood.
On that, it is Purple Heart on
See,
the cap.
I'm guessing that's Purple
Yeah.
Heart.
Yes, that's an excellent guess.
We'll edit that out, don't worry.
Yeah. So is this another limited edition of 20, and what, you paint them when you get the orders? Is that what happens?
Yeah, sometimes, and sometimes I just wake up and start on one. I have one that's about halfway done right now. I can't remember what number I'm on. I'd have to look at the spreadsheet and see which number I'm on. But last year we were the hummingbird, not the hummingbird, yeah, the hummingbird. We were really fortunate and blessed in that we, with the Reader's Choice Awards with Pen World, we tied with Pilot for the best fine art pen with the hummingbird last year. So that was a very gratifying and thanks to everyone who voted for us.
There's some voting going on right now, isn't there?
So the Bengal Tiger has been nominated for Fine Art Pen for this year for the Reader's Choice Awards. So it's been a wild ride, and I've had a lot of good support from everybody. Everybody's been very, very kind to us, and we're very humbled and appreciative of it.
I'm gonna show an oracle. It's
Yes.
an oracle desert ironwood, I believe.
Yes, that was production model 001.
Oh.
And so the Oracle is brand new. I introduced it at the Philadelphia Pen Show in January, your show,
I was
Mr.
there.
Orozco. You were there.
That was my last pen show.
So I had been making the Legend for probably 4 odd years, I guess, maybe. And it was time to introduce something new. And it was kind of a response to a lot of the comments I heard at shows over the years of, I wish I had something that posted. Now, the Legend, I always told people is I could retrofit it to post, but the issue is the whole barrel is made of wood. So you're going to get some ink transfer from the cap to the back of the pen. For me, that's not a problem. My personal aesthetic is that a writer should bond with their pen, and the pen should be a reflection of its wielder. And if they are a poster, well, there should be a signal that it's a posting pen. I love the natural materials and the natural finishes that I use because it's kind of a euphemism for humanity. We all patina with age, and what gives us our character are those little dings and dents and blemishes, but that's what ultimately shapes us and makes us beautiful as people, and I love that reflected in a writing instrument. That being said, a lot of people don't like that, and so the Oracle has an ebonite tailpiece, so if you do have ink transfer, you can clean it. It unscrews from the pen, so you can go put it in an ultrasonic cleaner and keep it as brand new looking as you would like. And so that one is designed to post. The Legend was designed as a clipless model. After a lot of yelling and screaming, I did figure out a way to retrofit it with the clip. I don't like it with the clip, but the Oracle is designed to be a clipped version for those that must have a clip. It is stainless steel. The stainless steel is laser cut out, and then I hand polish and I hand bend every single one of them one at a time. And I heat treat them with a blowtorch to give them color, so each clip takes on, so it still has that organic quality to it. There's no mass production involved. Every one I heat treat with the torch comes out a little different, and I love that about it.
You are hand bending these clips?
Yes.
That's
yes.
amazing.
Each one is so.
It's gorgeous. This ironwood is absolutely stunning.
That is probably the most beautiful wood I work with, in all fairness. It's not on the website, and I don't put it on the website typically, and I really don't even talk about it that much because it's so hard to get.
Oh.
I consider that I have a private reserve wood stash, specifically for people that know wood and are passionate about certain things. Desert ironwood is in that category. It's about $110 for just a piece of wood 1 inch by 1 inch by 8 inches long. So just the wood is tremendously expensive, and it's very hard to get. And so I want to save that for the people that know about it, love it, and really, really, really want it. You know, like if I take it to a pen show, there's a lot of people that will like, oh, that's pretty, I want it. And I know it's going to go into a collection of 50 and it's going to be one of many, and they won't really take time to really embrace what it truly is. And then there are people that walk up to me and say, do you have any desert ironwood? And I was like,
And they know
step into my office.
Yeah.
You know what? Step into my office. If I got, you know, and that's when we go into the private reserve room, and, you know, that's where I have like the really, really strange oddities, and there's the exceptionally rare things.
Is it called ironwood because it's harder than other woods?
It is. Now, ironwood comes there. Every continent, every place that exports wood has their own version of ironwood. Africa has black ironwood, and it's just kind of a colloquial name for any wood over a particular hardness. So if it's called ironwood, yes, it will ruin your blades real fast in a hurry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show another picture.
Okay.
It's that blue pen.
The blue
It looks
one.
like a blue stone.
It is a blue stone from Afghanistan. And it is lapis lazuli, and that is the stone that whole pen was cut from. So I start with a block of stone, and I use diamond cutting tools for lapidary work, and I'll slab off the stone to roughly 1 inch by 1 inch by 2 inches long, and I will put it in a special vise that I designed that will hold it underwater for drilling. The hardest part about making stone pens is drilling out the stone for the converter.
Gotcha.
So it takes about 45 minutes to an hour just to drill the hole through the lapis. It's very, very slow. The bit has to turn very slow because it'll get too hot. When water goes from water to steam, it expands 1,600 times. So you can imagine a coring bit going through a stone where there's nowhere for steam to release. It can just make the whole thing fall apart. So it has to be kept cool. It has to go slow, and there's no quick way to do it. Once I have the hole through it, I machine a flange of ebony wood. So you see there's on either side of the lapis part of the stone, there's a tailpiece of ebony, and up near the section there's also, I don't know, it's probably about half an inch or 2 centimeters of ebony. And that ebony goes all the way through the stone. So the stone is supported all the way through. So there's a wooden armature all the way through the stone, because I don't want it to break in half. If you're going to spend $1,500 on a pen, it should not break in half. And
ideally, but you know.
Right.
Depends on the brand, though.
I had one unnamed Italian brand that literally fell apart in my hand. It had mother of pearl, and I'd saved up because it was just exquisite, and I loved it. And I was writing with it, and then I clipped it in my shirt, and I was driving down the road, and I felt something wet trickling down, and I was purple from here to here with Scabiosa ink, and I was like, oh, that's bad. So when I pulled it out, I'm sitting there holding it, and all of the mother of pearl just fell off the pen. And I didn't want to make a pen like that. So I decided to...
Ideally, you would make a pen that doesn't actually fall apart.
Yes. Goal number one.
Now, is this the only stone you work with?
No, I work with lots of different stones. I've worked with ocean jasper. I've worked with labradorite. Right now, I've been on a big Malagasy stone kick. Malagasy is just anything from Madagascar. So there are some really unbelievable things that come out of Madagascar. In fact, a little bit of trivia, I met my wife in Madagascar in 1997. So lots of great things come from Madagascar.
She wasn't from Madagascar. She just happened to be there.
Yes, she was from Montreal. So,
I do have a picture of labradorite.
Mm-hmm. And that still
contain real pieces of dog.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the German Shepherdorite.
No, actually, it would have to either be Torontoite or Saskatchewanite, because it was named after Labrador, Canada, which was where it was originally found.
You just made that up?
Yes.
I did.
Okay.
For the benefit of Stephen.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
This particular pen looks greenish to me. Don't they come in? Labradorite has other hues, right? Blue. I think blue when I think of Labradorite. Am I wrong?
Yes. No, you're not wrong at all. So Labradorite is typically gold and green. Occasionally you'll find some stunning colors of blue. It's pretty hard to find. Now the rarest color to find is purple. Unbelievably hard to find. Now the Labradorite is a type of feldspar, and I did not make up the fact that it was originally discovered in Labrador, which is why it is called Labradorite. And when it forms mineralogically, try to spit that one out on a Sunday morning, it forms in layers, and so it reflects from only two directions. So from one side it will reflect this way, and then if you flip the stone over this way, it will reflect mirror opposite because the layers are now facing the opposite direction.
Gotcha.
Now each one of these micro layers, as it forms over the millions of years, will take on different mineral content. The difficult part about making a Labradorite pen is I don't know what I'm going to get in the end. So I may start with a blue stone and the pen comes out green, because every layer it can change colors from blue to green to purple and then back again. And I got burned a few times by letting people pick their stones. It's like, oh, they were expecting this brilliant blue and the pen came out green, and I was like, oh, snap, that stinks. And then I'm just like, groveling, oh, I'm so sorry I botched your pen.
But you didn't
and
really.
The other thing,
it's part of the stone.
It's just part of the stone, and that was part of the learning curve of some of the odd things about working with a new natural material I didn't have a lot of experience with. And to kind of give you an idea of to find the right pen. Actually, I have a Labradorite pen here. Let me grab that. Each stone can reflect from a different direction, and so when I go looking for a stone, I want the reflection to line up with the nib, and I want it to reflect the brightest, with the angle of orientation being the natural position towards the paper. So while you as the writer are writing with it, you have the best glow staring you in the face while you're writing.
Gotcha.
So when I go so my supplier for Labradorite imports the raw stone from Madagascar in Asheville, North Carolina. So twice a year I go up to enter the earth, and I go through hundreds of stones. They roll their eyes when I walk in because I'm going to pull every stone out of every shelf and every box, and I will sit there and I'll turn around in circles and I'll orient that stone until it glows back right at that writing position, and then it goes in the basket and I take it home. And the most I've ever found that will glow in that particular orientation is probably about 6 or 7 stones, out of which I might get lucky and make 2 or 3 pens out of each stone. There's a lot of waste, there's a lot of breakage along the way, so so the Labradorite pens specifically are a very special pen because it takes a very special piece of stone just to make it work the way I want it to work.
I'm going to switch to another very special piece of stone. I've got a picture here of the master's pen.
Yes.
The picture does not show the entire piece of amber that you're working with, but it does show the end result of the nib holder that came out of it. What in the world is the story with you trying to make a pen out of amber?
So for those of you who are familiar with Spencerian script, you'll be familiar with Michael Saul. At the last direct descendant to R. Platt Spencer in penmanship, truly, and his work is remarkable. And over the years, he and I have just become very, very close friends. Around the Atlanta Pen Show, he always stays with us for a week before the show and several days after the show. And my kids call him Uncle Saul. And he's also a poet. And I went to one of his poetry readings, and he was reading this story that he wrote about this mythical pen that was found at a rummage sale with a box of trinkets, the ball of yarn, and all these different accessories. And I was talking to a friend of mine named Ed. He's the organizer of the Colorado Pen Show, Ed Capizzi, and I just his wife was a jeweler, and I said, if we put our heads together, let's make it a goal a year from now. Let's just gift him with this pen. Let's just see if we can do it. And so he's like, all right, you tell me what you need to make the pen, and you cover the gem and mineral shows on the East Coast, and my wife and I will cover the Western gem and mineral shows, and we'll see what we can find. And so we laid all that out, and so we figured out the piece of amber we would need, and we started about trying to find one, and everyone we asked just laughed out loud at us, like, yeah, go get a ski mask and go rob the Smithsonian because that's pretty much the only place you're going to find it.
Because of the size that you needed.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, yeah, that doesn't exist. And after about 1.5 years to 2 years of looking, Ed, Michael, and I were having a glass of wine together, and we just fessed up. We were like, hey, we tried to do this. And Michael was like, well, I'm glad you told me because I'm leaving for Russia in 3 days, and I will be visiting the Amber Museum. And he says, if I can find a piece of amber at the amber mines suitable, would you still be willing to do the project? We're like, yeah. So he came back with the size of a block of amber the size of my head. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was just magnificent, absolutely spectacular, full of mosquitoes. Yeah,
And
it was
a very valuable, extremely valuable. This is the one I saw in L.A., right? He had it at the LA bench.
No, yeah, we had it there. Yeah,
you cut into this.
Hey, that was arguably one of the most terrifying things that I've ever worked on, simply for the fact that if I botched it, it's not just the cost of the amber; it's a plane ticket back to Russia and St. Petersburg, and I mean, there was a lot of angst. So we had a lot of people over and a lot of brains working on it. I had a machinist, actually, Michael's good friend Al Schnagel from Colorado is a career machinist, and we talked about it for probably about 3 days before we actually put blade to that piece of amber, and nobody breathed. It was Mario from Toys from the Attic was over, Detlef from Bittner was over, Michael Saw was there, and Al was there. We're all standing around the diamond saw, like, and I think all of our faces were blue. I had water spewing in my face from the cooling system, and I'm just like, and as soon as that blade hit, it was like, oh, that's real now. I mean, like, I was shaking. It cut like butter. It was so beautiful. The whole pen only took, I don't know, maybe a couple of hours. It was remarkable at how easily it cut. Now, it was very brittle. We actually sacrificed a little bit of amber to see if it would be structural enough to hold the nib unit and hold up to the pressures of calligraphy. And so what we did is we cut off some and we literally just threw it at the pavement. And it exploded. So we decided, yes. So we decided it would probably be a bad idea. And so what you'll notice is the front, there's a black portion on the front and back. And so what we used for strength is we used Irish bog oak, which was found in peat bogs, and it was dated, and they estimate its age to that same as the amber. So they're both about 12 million years old. And if you look at the front, the very front piece, to mix it up just a little bit more, there's another little piece on there, and that is made of fossilized megalodon tooth.
Oh, of course, because why wouldn't it be?
Right, of course. I mean, if you're going to make something old, make something old. So the nib, the flange, we had a jeweler handcraft. It's made of 14 karat gold, and that is set into fossilized megalodon tooth. You know, again, remember I was talking about how I collect stuff and I can't get rid of stuff. Part of those 4 days is we were brainstorming after we realized that amber wasn't going to be structural enough. It's like, well, what are we going to use? And people would throw different stuff out trying to stump me. I was like, I've got that. Somebody said bog oak. I was like, Californian or Irish? And so and then when somebody said, yeah, I bet you don't have any dinosaur bone, I said, will megalodon tooth work?
As a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact, I've got 2 of those. so I collect things.
So out of that piece of amber that I saw, how many pens did you make?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Yeah, Ed was the financier of the raw materials, and so the remainder of the stone, what I did was I repolished it, and I made a East Indian rosewood base that I bored out, and I put LED lighting in it. And so you set the amber on top, so the amber is bottom lit, so it just glows.
Oh.
And so I presume it's sitting somewhere in his living room, and so you can turn it on with a little switch, and it just fills the whole room
Amazing.
with this beautiful
Absolutely.
amber ambient light.
Yeah, that's quite a story. I like that story.
It was a fun project to do.
And a little bit nerve-wracking at the same time.
Well, when it was done and it didn't blow up in my face, I was like, yeah, that was great. I'd do it again.
Amber is much more easy to work with than you had. Well, I mean, it could have just exploded, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it really cut beautifully. I mean, it's probably the easiest cutting thing I've ever worked with, and to polish it was even easier. It's still quite soft. It took seconds to polish it up. I took it up to a 3-micron diamond paste. I mean, it's just as clear as glass all the way through, and just. Michael, incidentally, has named all the mosquitoes in it. He's created a diagram. Yeah, they're all named after master penmen.
Well, that's Michael. Of course, that's Michael. I have one last picture that is not a pen. It's a Luna, a dog of some kind. What's the story
yes.
on Luna here?
Well, when we moved, we thought we'd be moving into a community of really cool people, and maybe we did. We don't know, because we have been in isolation, and so the kids have been completely friendless in a new town, in a new house, and everybody was starting to go just absolutely crazy. And Julia was like, "It's time for a dog," and I was like, "I'm not a." I didn't grow up with animals, so for me, it's like, hither nor thither, you know. It's like, okay, whatever. We have traveled so much, I was always against it because it's not fair to the dog. But now that all the pen shows are canceled, for those of you who've never met me before, I travel as a family with my family. We homeschool our children, and part of their curriculum is they have a side business, and it's a part of their lesson in economics and entrepreneurialism is they make pen accessories, they market them, they design them, they manufacture them, but they are at a lot of pen shows every year. And for us, it was never fair to leave an animal home. But my sister has agreed to take our animal. They're big animal lovers. My niece wants to be a vet, so we have a place that's not a kennel now for her to go when we do travel. And we checked the local shelters, and she is a border healer, so she's half border collie and half blue healer. It's an Australian cattle dog. And she was going to be executed on Monday, and we said no. No, she is not. No, she's not. So we signed on as foster parents. So we are officially fostering her for 2 to 3 weeks. At which point we do have the opportunity to take her as one of our own. Which I think now, if I did not agree to that, I would be in the kill shelter, awaiting adoption myself. So.
Well, she looks like a cutie. How is she acting?
Remarkably well, given where she came from and everything. She was clearly well taken care of. We don't know how. She understands a few basic commands. She can sit, she can lay down, she'll heel. She's very, very gentle. She loves to play with tennis balls, and she'll get we moved to the river, so she loves to jump in and fetch sticks out of the water. And she's not skittish, so even under loud noises, she's very confident. She doesn't cower back from people, so I don't think she was ever abused. But she's still, you can tell she's a little bit in a funk. She's not sure what's going on. She's very quiet. But last night she did growl at a neighbor, so she's still kind of feeling her way around, but by and large, she's an excellent animal.
She's absolutely lovely.
She is.
I mean, this is the picture. This is the picture I've seen. She looks lovely in this picture. Yeah. She looks calm and tired. She's probably been playing all day.
Yeah, well, and she's, I guess you guys have been to pen shows, and after
have you been to a pen show, Brian?
Once or twice, I think.
Yeah. So you know how it is, 2 days after something big like that, there's that adrenaline dump where you're just like, oh. And, imagine being in a shelter with other animals, being carted off to a new place. It was all exciting, and then she realizes she's safe, and now it's just like that downtime. She's just barely getting out of bed. She'll go for a walk, but she's spending a lot of time in bed. But I imagine she'll bounce back in a couple of days.
You've had her now for a week?
Just under a week, yeah.
Cool. Luna.
Yeah.
Luna,
Yeah.
very nice.
Luna, yes.
Luna. That's all I've got. That's all I have. Thank you very much for being here, Ryan.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
that
you
was
for
very interesting.
Well, thank you for including me. It was great talking to y'all, and thank you everybody for tuning in and spending Easter morning with us.
As you've mentioned, pen shows, generally speaking, you go to the pen shows and we can see and funnel and buy your pens at pen shows. I think it's anybody's guess when the next pen show is actually going to be. Chicago is scheduled. They moved it, postponed it really, to the middle of June. I don't know if that's going to happen. You said on your Instagram live story that you did not think it was going to happen. I don't, even if they have it, I don't know if we're all going to feel comfortable going to it.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's, who's going to show up? That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
It's a pen show is one of those places where everybody's touching everything. If there's a place to, I don't know. It's I haven't decided even if they have it if I'm going to go. My my
they're
parents.
Just crowded. They're just crowded.
Yeah.
And generally, that's not a bad thing. That's fun, and it's a big social activity. So we'll see where we're. So in the meantime, since we're not having pen shows that we know of, we have to go to your website to see what you've got. Or are you going to do some more of those live things that you did?
So we're going to do a combination of things. We will do more live events, but more importantly is about a year ago we decided, because I've been doing 12 to 13 shows a year, which is grueling. And we've been looking for a way to cut that back to maybe 6 to 8 instead of 12 to 13. And so I bought a lot of video equipment because I want to bring people into what I do on the daily. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing over the next few days and weeks is I'm going to take everybody on the raw material hunts. And it will probably be starring, we were kind of toying with the idea, but it will probably be starring the Wood Ninja, also known as Caspian T. Krusac, my son. And scouring and since exotic wood producers are not considered critical infrastructure, so they're all closed. So I'm going to be going out in our own woods looking for magical pieces of wood. And so we're going to be filming it, and we're going to start a YouTube channel where people are going to be able to follow from walking out of the front door, foraging for material, all the way to the final process of the end piece. And so kind of stay tuned for that. And I want to do episodes on different woods and have like a wood of the month and talk about it and where it comes from, how it's processed, all that kind of fun stuff. So for those of you who are into pens and into materials, this might be kind of a fun way to kind of get more involved with what we're doing, and we'll be putting up reminders soon.
Good. And where are you going to put those up?
What's that?
Where are you going to put those reminders up?
On social media and on my website. So we'll be on. I need to reactivate my Twitter account. I've been since the move. I made a deliberate decision to kind of pull back on social media because I knew we were going to be moving. I'd have no shop for a long time. In fact, my shop's not 100% set up with the flood that we had in our basement and stuff. It's even so. I've not really been.
You are using Instagram. What is your name on Instagram?
RKS Pens.
RKS Pens. Okay, so that's easy to find.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with that. I was going to say that if you go to a pen show, I'm glad you're doing the YouTube things. I'm glad you're thinking about that, because what I have always found fascinating is you go to a pen show, you go to Ryan's table, and you ask him about a particular wood, and he has the entire history of that wood. And he's got, 25 different woods. You just point to the wood you want to talk about, and he will tell you more. He's Wikipedia when it comes to the wood. He'll just start rattling it off. Dr. Brown, you can back me up on that, can't you?
No, this is absolutely true. I mean, I sometimes I wish he would just shut up because no, I'm just kidding. No, but it is amazing, and I've always found that is something that sets Ryan and his brand apart to me. It's not. I've already talked about the artistry, but there's also it is an encyclopedic knowledge of wood. So when you get a pen made out of wood from Ryan, then you also know that everything has been done to make sure that that wood will not crack, fall apart, do all kinds of things, because he knows what he's doing.
He knows what
And
he's
these
doing.
days, I sometimes feel, without trying to sound harsh, people do not really know what they are doing. So, it can be a bit chaotic, but I've always really appreciated that. So I fully agree, Eric, and I think that is an absolutely wonderful aspect of Ryan.
Yes,
One
because
of many.
when you go to a pen show and you talk to Ryan, his passion for his pens and the woods are it's contagious, and you miss that on his website. So I'm glad you're thinking about doing the YouTube videos and bringing us into the selection process and talking to us more about each particular type of wood, because that to me has always been the most fascinating part.
Yep, I think it's a great idea.
Well, thank you. I feel like it's been the weakest link in my business model is bringing people into that, because it's something most people don't think about, probably haven't ever thought about. But it's the part I enjoy talking about most, and it's just we've really failed on the website on that aspect of it for sure. So
Well,
we're gonna fix that.
Quarantine, perfect time to correct that. Perfect time.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's all I've got, gentlemen. Any last words? Any thoughts? Any questions? Thank you
I
for
thought
being
this
here.
was super interesting.
Yeah, this was super interesting. And
Thank you for
knew
having me.
It's not the first time we've had long conversations in YouTube with Ryan Krusac. Always a pleasure, and I hope we see you again very soon.
All right, sounds excellent, guys.
I'm going to hit this little stop the show button, but I will tell you when we're actually off the air, because we're